All right, it's been months since Israel started withholding tax revenues from the PA equal to the salaries that Ramallah pays to terrorists and their families, roughly $138 million since February 2019.
And in protest of the action, the PA has since refused any and all tax revenues that Israel collects. But this has put the Palestinian government in dire straits, forcing it to cut staff, services, and government salaries by upwards of 50 to 60%.
So as of Sunday, President Abbas is now agreeing to accept the sanctioned revenues. And here to discuss this further, we are joined by Marc Schulman, columnist for Newsweek and editor of HistoryCentral.com. So would you consider Israel's withdrawal or withholding of these tax monies to be a success of sorts?
Sort of. I mean, a propaganda success. It plays very well in Israeli domestic politics, without a doubt. Remember, there's two things taking place simultaneously. It wasn't only us. It was the Taylor Force Act by the United States that cut off all American aid as a result. So not only did we stop giving the money, but the United States stopped giving money over the same issue. Yeah. So both issues were
which was the payment of
money to families of and terrorists who had taken action against Israel or Americans or anyone else.
So the question is, should Israel maybe increase the sanctions, since the Palestinian Authority still intends to continue its so-called pay-for-slay policy?
Well, we got to understand, it's complicated. The old saying, someone else's terrorist is, one person's terrorist is someone else's freedom fighter. To me, as an Israeli, they're terrorists and they're my enemies and everything else like that. But we also have to understand from the Palestinian standpoint, they fight for Palestinian freedom. No one else is doing it. We've been occupying these people for 50 years. Now, I'm not justifying it, mind you, but we need to understand that from the Palestinian standpoint, their government can't say, well, we're going to leave all these families without homes, without anything, because as far as the Palestinian public is concerned, these people are heroes. Now, they're not our heroes, they're our enemies.
Which just, begs the question, why then should Israel be paying
because
money?
Because it's in our interest the Palestinian Authority exists. Let's be honest. If the Palestinian Authority stops existing, we have to go in there. We have to start providing education, health, everything else that we were doing before Oslo. Now, one can argue the benefits and the pluses and minuses of Oslo, but we had a military administration and we took care of everything. It was at our expense. At the moment, it's the Palestinian Authority. The world gives them money. Not only the United States, but other countries give them money. They wouldn't be giving us money to take care of the Palestinians. And they perform, they've been working closely with our security personnel to stop other terror attacks. So it's
But isn't it in Israel's best interest to tell the Palestinian Authority, forget withholding whatever you pay terrorists. We're withholding tax, period, until you stop paying terrorists.
Because they're not willing to in the end. I mean, what they're saying is, okay,
they weren't willing to take the rest of the revenues until now.
But that's cutting off our nose to spite our face. In other words, we can't force them to do it up to a certain extent. We can take away the money that they're doing.
Well,
they
they've
lost
come
the
back
American
to the
money.
negotiating table clearly right now. So the question is that because of the severe economic crisis?
They absolutely needed the money. They originally took the state, well, if you're not going to give us that money, we don't want any of your money. But they can't afford that. They realized that. No one came forth and gave them money instead. The Qataris didn't come forth. No one replaced the money. Don't forget, this is their money. It's not like we're giving them money. This is the money that we collect at the ports in taxes, and we just pass it on to them. That's the agreement. We're supposed to pass on their money. So again, we're not giving them the money. We're just giving the money that we've been collecting for them, less the amount they're paying terrorists. So what more can we do really in that sense? We can't change the very basis of Palestinian society in that sort of way. I mean, we can argue about the textbooks, and we need to do things about that. But we have to understand that to these people, as much as we hate the terrorists, and as much as from any sort of perspective, people who kill civilians are terrible people, to them, they're still heroes because they're freedom fighters. And we need to understand that as much as we hate them, and I hate them, don't get me wrong, but we have to understand there's two sides to it, and we have to understand how to balance the two, and we have to understand the most important point. The Palestinian Authority serves our interests. And if it didn't serve our interests, we wouldn't keep it in power. But it serves our interests.
Well, speaking of economic straits, we're going to have to unfortunately move on to our next story. But thank you so much for joining us.